Indigenous SSN program, nuclear attack submarines for sea control. Sea control is a contest of endurance, reach, and silence, and nothing combines those like a nuclear-powered attack submarine. India's Indigenous SSN program aims to field boats that can sprint to a crisis, linger for weeks without snorkeling, and hold hostile surface groups, submarines, and shore targets at risk across the Indian Ocean and beyond. Here we explain what an Indian SSN must be, how it fights, and why it reshapes the Navy's options for the next 3 decades. Start with the physics that matter. A nuclear reactor turns seawater into steam, and steam into motion without the oxygen limits that bind diesel-electric designs. That gives an SSN practical endurance measured in months, limited mainly by food and crew stamina. It also gives sustained speed, not just a brief dash, but the ability to run quietly at higher transit and patrol speeds, collapsing the time from order to on station and expanding the radius the boat can cover in a single deployment. Endurance and speed together are deterrents. They let commanders appear where an adversary expects safety. Silence remains the currency of survival. Quieting starts with a compact, well-shielded reactor, double or rafted machinery mounts, and a propulsion train tuned to avoid resonances. A pump jet or carefully shrouded skew-back propeller reduces cavitation at speed. Anechoic tiles and careful hull shaping scatter active sonar energy. Isolation of auxiliaries, pumps, compressors, turbines, keeps the acoustic profile low across bands. Every cable run and pipe bracket is a choice about noise. Every choice adds up to how close the boat can approach before detection. Sensors and combat systems turn silence into leverage. A spherical or large bow array, long flank arrays, and a towed passive array together provide the aperture needed to detect faint contacts at range. Wideband receivers harvest radar and communications emissions to build an electromagnetic picture without ever raising a mast. When the boat must look, a low-profile optronic mast with high-definition, low-light optics compresses periscope time to seconds. A modern combat management system fuses all of this into a single prioritized track picture, so a small crew can classify, target, and engage without cognitive overload. Weapons define the dilemmas the SSN sets for an adversary. Heavyweight torpedoes remain the close and kill mechanism against surface ships and submarines, with wire guidance allowing patient, precise shots from ambush geometry. Vertical or encapsulated launch options for cruise missiles extend reach to enemy surface task groups and, where policy authorizes, shore targets such as logistics nodes, air defense sites, and radar stations. Encapsulated anti-ship missiles fired from torpedo tubes add punch in contested littorals. Decoys and mobile emitters seed confusion in an enemy's sonar picture when it is time to break contact. Missions span the spectrum of sea control. In choke points, an SSN can act as a gatekeeper, denying hostile submarines and surface combatants access to the open ocean. Along sea lines of communication, it can shadow and, if necessary, attrite adversary strike assets that threaten merchant traffic. As a carrier escort, it clears the underwater approaches, hunts opposing submarines, and extends the carrier group's sensor net far forward. In wartime, it can break blockades, sever logistics, and interdict high-value units. In peacetime, it conducts intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, listening to seabed signatures, mapping routes, and validating tactics against real targets. Operations are a choreography with the wider fleet. Maritime patrol aircraft queue with sonobuoys and magnetic anomaly detections. Surface combatants fence at standoff. Satellites and seabed sensors feed context. And the SSN shares only sparse burst data on low probability of intercept links to preserve location secrecy. The art is timing. Arrive early, settle into favorable acoustics, wait for patterns, and strike or shadow when the odds are best. With nuclear endurance, the boat dictates the calendar instead of being driven by batteries. Industrial choices decide whether the promise becomes presence. A domestically designed reactor with reliable, safe control systems must be compact enough for a hydrodynamically clean hull. Quiet main coolant pumps or natural circulation regimes at low power cut tonal noise. Indigenous supply of high-strength steels, quiet bearings, cables, valves, and shock-mounted auxiliaries turns availability from a procurement question into a manufacturing discipline. Yard infrastructure, covered building halls, nuclear-qualified dry docks, radiological protection, and specialized test facilities sets the tempo for construction, refueling, and deep maintenance over a 30-year life. People and procedures are as critical as metal. Crews need long pipelines for nuclear engineering, reactor watch, acoustic analysis, damage control, and under-ice or shallow water navigation techniques tailored to the Indian Ocean's thermoclines and seabed. Shore organizations must institutionalize strict reactor safety, radiological monitoring, and incident response that withstand scrutiny. Tactics schools must iterate playbooks continuously as foreign sonars, torpedoes, and patrol methods evolve. Counter capabilities will improve, so doctrine must be honest. Adversaries are fielding low-frequency active and multi-static sonars, improved airborne processors, satellite-aided ocean surveillance, and smarter torpedoes. An Indian SSN answers with speed to reposition outside detection cones, disciplined speed control to stay below acoustic layers, deceptive countermeasures, and the patience to use noisy seabeds and shipping as cover. The goal is not invulnerability. It is an unfavorable cost curve for any hunter. Strategy is where the investment pays out. A handful of SSNs on rotation across key approaches, from the Arabian Sea and Mozambique Channel to the Andaman Sea, forces any adversary to protect convoys with scarce escorts, slows task forces, and opens windows for air and surface forces to shape outcomes. They also protect India's own SSBN bastions, ensuring the credibility of the nuclear deterrent by hunting threats before they reach missile boats. In crises short of war, the knowledge that a quiet, fast, long-legged submarine may be watching alters calculations without a press release. Timelines and risk are real. Designing, building, and sustaining SSNs demand long lead times, tight program discipline, and unglamorous investments in training and infrastructure. But the payoff is a sovereign tool of sea control that does not depend on access to foreign ports, airspace, or tankers. An indigenous SSN program, done right, is less a platform purchase than a national capability that compounds over decades. For deeper analysis on undersea warfare, nuclear propulsion, and India's path to credible sea control, visit globalinfoveda.com.